Welcome to Slam, Stress Less and Automate More. This is the podcast for busy professionals who are done with burnout and ready to reclaim their time. Whether you're working remotely or stuck in office traffic, we are here to help you work smarter, automate the boring stuff, and actually enjoy your day. Each week, we break down real workplace challenges and give you no fluff strategies to boost productivity, simplify workflows, and keep stress in check. Each week, we tackle the real stuff, those everyday work headaches, and show you how to handle them with smarter systems, sharp strategies, and a little bit of tech magic. But before we get into today's topic, let's meet the crew behind Slam. First up, KB, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you, Jay. My name is Kay, and I've been in the BPO industry for more than a decade now. And I started as a customer service and found a way to climb the corporate ladder. I've been in quality, creation, and now I have transitioned in a VA industry where I'm a, I mean, yeah, since I'm looking for a work from home job, that's it for me. Let's and let's have FC to introduce himself.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you, Kay. Hello, Slammers. My name is FC, and just like Kay, I have been in the BPO industry for more than a decade. And throughout my career in the BPO sector, I have a distinct privilege of navigating a multifaceted landscape, wearing not just one hat, but a diverse array of hats. I've from the foundational aspects of training and quality, um, the analytical rigor of reports analysis, and even with human resources as a generalist and recruitment. I've also handled an IT team and even lead management. So for every and also delve into a little bit of workforce management. So every support roles there is in a BPO industry, I have conquered and ventured it all. So that's why I know that Slam isn't just a solution, it's a lifestyle. Back to you, JR.
Yes, and I'm JR. So I've spent years working with some of the biggest BPOs in across the boo, deep in the world of quality operations and operational excellence. I've seen what works, what burns people out, and the biggest productivity traps hide. So I'm all about helping teams simplify, automate, and build workflows that actually work. And that brings us to today's topic. Our topic for today is productivity myths busted. So we've all heard the advice, wake up at 5 a.m. Multitasking is a superpower. Meetings mean momentum. But how much of that is actually true? In this episode, I'm breaking down the biggest productivity myths that are slowing us down and showing you how to replace them with real, practical strategies. So let's dive in slide by slide, myth by myth, and slam our way to the truth. Right, so without further ado, let me go ahead. So last week, just last week, so we talked about um Gemini, right? And how it can pretty much help our teams or our listeners get to be more efficient in terms of creating uh just about anything. So the example was AppSheet was a go-to resource. So we did a little bit of coding there on the back end, but the majority of the time we did Gemini. Now, for this week, again, is productivity myths busted. So many of us follow this advice without questioning, really. And so, we have 10 examples of these productivity myths, things that we kind of really just accept for what they are. So, like, if especially if you're new, newly promoted in your role, you're no stranger to these types of myths, right? And it covers all range and sizes from ranks to leaders, supervisors, managers. So get ready to unlearn some of these bad habits and discover smarter ways to work. So our first myth of the day: multitasking increases efficiency. Does it really? So in reality, task switching errors reduces focus and increases errors, right? So switching, each shift in our focus requires cognitive reorientation, and leading to decreased attention and increased mistakes. Um, and studies show that multitasking can actually reduce your productivity, believe it or not, by as much as 40% because the brain cannot fully focus on multiple tasks at once. And I'm not just talking about like you're creating a report for productivity and pulling out the necessary data and talking to someone about that report. I'm talking about two irrelevant kind of tasks, like
Mhm.
as simple as watching a movie and listening to music, right? As simple as that. And not just any music or any movie, just kind of movies that a movie that you haven't seen yet, and try to play a music. See if you can uh focus on one, right?
Mhm.
I mean,
So
a
I'd
good
like to ask,
example also.
yes, go.
Yeah, a good example also, if you're in an office, is you're you're doing something, all right? Maybe you're creating a report at the same time you join a meeting. So tendency here, you cannot have the full grasp of the meeting at the same time you're working on your productivity report, for example. So you might be thinking that, I was able to do it because I was able to join the meeting at the same time I have completed my productivity report. So yes, you have completed, possibility there you have completed your productivity report, but I don't think you have the full grasp of the meeting, right? Because your focus is more on your productivity. So I agree with you, Jay, with that.
Very true, very true. And especially if someone asks you a question about the previous topic, you're definitely in hot water. And not just in virtual meetings, wherein it's very, very easy to multitask because, they're just talking, you're not part of the conversation. Of course, it's a dead given if you're the one facilitating the meeting, you cannot multitask. But if you're
Correct.
just the attendees, and you think to yourself that, hey, maybe I can cover, do a lot of things here and there, like do even worst is do coaching in the middle of a virtual meeting. How can you do that, right? So your brain wants you to focus on just one in order to be more efficient and um accurate with what it is you do, because the more you let alone doing three things at once can really, really be counterproductive. How about you, F? What's
Correct.
your take?
My take is that leave the multitasking to the computers, to the AIs. You focus on one thing.
Agree. Or you can do prioritization, right? You prioritize your task to urgent, non-urgent, important, and not important, right? You do the most urgent and important one. So it's better that way so that you are focused to one at a time with your task rather than doing multitasking. This this will, if you do prioritization, then probably you can focus on one task and complete it the shortest time. So that way you can be very efficient.
Right. Very well said. Again, multitasking increases efficiency. Boom, myth busted. You cannot multitask and have that same efficiency. Now let's move
And
on to the next.
sometimes also multitasking, Jay, will burn you out.
Exactly, right? So you have actually to uh give your brain some space to breathe, right? Otherwise you're gonna get cognitive overload. And
Correct.
when you're burned out, then you're going to wear yourself out in the long run, and you'll end up not appreciating your job, and then
No,
you keep thinking, yeah. Oh yes,
I
go ahead.
remember last week we talked about a manager in a specific company uh, that delegates all the tasks to a friend, and I believe those type of people will always say multitasking is a must. Those type of managers, or you can multitask this.
Yeah, they,
So
they
if
tell that to their,
whenever
yeah.
yeah, so if
They tell that.
whenever a manager asks you to multitask, then that means he's just lazy as f.
True, true. Right, next. I think this is also a popular myth. More hours equals more work done.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
Mm-hmm.
not just the leaders, and by extension companies, I think as a culture have this kind of myth, right? So the reality is it leads to burnout, like you mentioned earlier, Kay, and lower productivity because during the course of that time, oh my God, I'm gonna do overtime again. So, it's going to affect your mental state, and again, derailed focus. So, we have a term called diminishing returns. So, after you reach a certain point, each additional hour yields less and less output. And that is true because we're dealing with human beings here, not robots. And humans are prone to burnout because we're meant to, like, take a rest in between work, and we can only be as productive over a certain amount of time. We definitely need rest. And burnout is a chronic stress deplete it's a chronic stress, depletes mental and physical resources that will impact your performance, right? So that's why we have work life balance, and it is essential in order for us to sustain our productivity and our well-being. So it's not about the hours, the number of hours that you do, it's the quality of the hours that you do. It's how efficient you are in those hours that matters. So quality over quantity.
Correct.
So
I
what can you
remember
say about
the
that?
I remember I saw an article that says Japan allows their employees to sleep because that means they work their asses off and they are allowed to sleep.
Right, and similarly, Zed, in contrast, it's quite contrast. I think Japanese are very hardworking individuals, and they have different types of cultures. I mean, they have a different type of culture when it comes to work, right? So if you're the boss, you're the first one to arrive. I mean, if you're a supervisor or what have you, if you're a leader, you're first to arrive, the first to leave, right? But your people um are really, if there's a lot of work to be done, then they really have to stay, and then you also have to stay as a leader, which is really um opposite here, I think, in some centers wherein bosses leave earlier than the people. I don't know what's up with that. And also, what's sad
Ah,
at the same time. Well, speaking of Japan or Japanese, is that they have this term called karoshi, right? It's like and this picture sums it up. Like you overwork, and I think that's before the sleeping gets introduced. You just really have to work, especially the manga artists. They really have to meet deadlines after deadlines, right? So it's not just the BPO industry, even production, even in the creative industry, they also are victims to this, because we have a term called energy, and and once your energy depletes, your mental resources gets depleted, then work will not be as good compared to when you are well rested.
Right.
correct.
Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred. But yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. The thing why I talked about the Japan thing is I just realized right now. Were did they sleep because they were burnt out, or or were they asleep because they were allowed to do so? So yeah.
I think it's more towards the former. Um, it's really burn out. Their work hours there are really kind of go on with
Do
the
we
Brooding.
have the same? Do we have the same work hours as Japan? Like
like
9 hours?
9 hours.
Oh, maybe they should be working 12 hours. Those things.
I think there's a center here in Cebu that's trying to mimic that. I'm just not sure. The one across Ayala, but
Which one?
they have like cartons. Uh, the one that the employees put cartons, because especially if it's holidays in December, it's really queuing. It's a captive site
Is that Pogo?
across Edda, right? Pugo? No, not Pugo.
Across Seda, there's building across Seda.
Diba?
I don't know. I am not familiar.
Yeah, familiar. It starts with an A and ends with an N.
Oh, is it
Like it-
Japanese?
No, no, not Japanese. It's American
Ah, it's an
place.
American. Okay, really? And they're trying to do that because it's queuing during those holidays, buying season,
Ah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah,
they
yeah.
they sleep with cartons on the production floor. I mean,
Hmm.
that's what I heard from. BPO confessions.
So they sleep in a carton, so meaning they don't have sleeping lounge?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but they're a big company, right? The
I-
captive
It
companies,
is.
big, so they should be able to afford, or maybe because it's they're already full, right?
Possibly, yeah. This is a
Anyways,
very
more
big company, huh?
that
One of the
well,
richest. They all,
yeah, they're one of the richest.
mm,
Fortune, they're part of the Fortune
yeah,
500, right?
correct.
They should be able to,
To think this is
but that was like
captive.
2, 3 years, some 2, 3 years ago.
Let's see.
Yeah, but I do heard that I think there was one article that exposes their labor like practices or
Yeah,
yeah, their from their warehouse to the production floor. They were really I forgot the article, but they really took a shot about their labor practices. That's in the U.S. On the I don't know what happens in the Philippines if even in your headquarters you don't practice good labor laws. Then I'm sure your
yeah,
other
but I
branches
think
doesn't.
Philippines is more stricter compared for when it comes to labor laws, right?
Yeah,
I think employees are more protected here. Um, that's why you FC have a lot of experience being in LRC.
I know. Yeah,
And also, LU. Yes. I had some experience.
Oh yeah, yeah. She did.
I've I've
And
been
and
in both ends of that arrangement in NLRC. The respondent and also the dependent or the dependent or the complainant. Sorry, the complainant and the respondent.
yeah. And if you really think about it, um more hours is not equals to more work because we have a labor law that should cover that, right? You should there
Yes.
should be enough hours for you to sleep. You
Yeah,
cannot have
agree. And also, it's more practice in the BPO industry, regarding mandatory OT, right?
Yeah,
A mandatory, it is a mandatory OT, but in our policy, I mean, in our RC policy, it should not be mandatory, but rather a yeah, optional, di ba? You should, I mean, you're entitled to take the OT or not. So there should no such thing as mandatory OT. But usually they use it as kana bitang panghadlok. If di ka mo OT, NTE ka. But there's no such thing. Actually, I've been into that multiple times that the management will say there's a mandatory OT, but I do not ask my team to do mandatory OT. It's to you. Uh, the company rolled out mandatory OT, but at the end of the day, I'm letting you decide if you will take it or not. And ever since, I don't think na na-issue ka nag-NTE because of mandatory OT. Because there is no such thing.
and that's against because that's against the labor, diba?
Correct.
They
Oh,
can the company can get, you know, you can earn a lot of money for that
mm.
if you get
And
NTE.
also, J and FC, this is an opportunity of the leadership or especially workforce, right? Why is it there's an OT, right? Why is it we're asking people to do mandatory OT? To
Pressure,
begin with, as a yes, as a workforce, you are there to manage the SLA, to manage the
forecast.
queue, right? Put more people there, but why did you not anticipate it, right? I mean, especially common during holidays, right? If you're working, let's say here in like a form selling company, or I will not names. So if let's say here you're into, let's say you're into that business and you're expected that for December there will be a lot of orders and you need a lot of people, right? So instead of asking mandatory OT, why did you not hire? Ramp, diba? So the at the end of the day, this is, it can be the benefits of the company that they will not hire someone because it's expensive, and this is only temporary, or it can be an opportunity of the workforce, right?
Right. And having mandatory OTs is a symptom, actually, if you think about it, is a symptom of poor management.
Foresight. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where we're not hiring, and maybe the attrition is too high because of bad
Poor management. Yeah.
bad
There's
management
also
of.
one with my previous company where the, but not on our account, to say it's another account, but the same way, but same company where the manager that we're talking about, that's running for
Of in the of running
uh,
for office.
yeah, same with that same account. So they always have mandatory OT, and what happened is um they tend to um, inadlock the agent so that they can do it. So I know that agents are really burned out, but the reason of mandatory OT is the ghost employees, the ghost employees of the site director. So let's say here, the program hired 1,500, and they have 1,500 agents to begin with. Then someone resigned, they will not take that someone from the payroll or from the rooster. So tendency there, they don't have any attrition, right? Maybe it started with attrition, so wala sila attrition, but the agent's still there. But actual, there's no agent, right? So
Right.
probably they have now only 800 agents. Let's say here, their expected population should be 1,200. So there are 400 agents missing. So the client think that we have this. So that's for the organization to manage the SLA, right? To You cannot manage the SLA because expectation for this is 1,200, and we only have 800 because 400 are those employees. So that's why they have always mandatory OT, mandatory OT, mandatory OT. So the question there, where are this payroll after that sa paingon? So it goes to the site director, program. That's why they are very bongga. A director is going to any part of the world. Then director buying some lalaki. So that's what happened. And until they no, no, this is actually a girl. But batasan of a bayot pan kusog kay palit og lalaki.
uh,
So because my friend yang toy. So pre, paingon mig Hong Kong, what do you want? Shoes. So ana kay ba? Okay. Kuan kayo kanang. So dagan di kag kwarta. Siya na. I have some to buy that. Okay, don't worry. Plito niyo tan kung gusto. So somehow like that. That's what happened. So anyway, going back, the company uh, is now aware. So she got kicked out, advised to resign, as well as the VP because wa mo nakita sa VP. So apil ang VP pag tang-tang.
right.
Kasi na it happens, the VP is our mortal enemy back at our previous company where the China bank. The other side, once we have a very good. I mean, we have a loud program, the one that will go to our office. Remember that person? That's the VP.
Mm, yes, yes, yes. I remember.
Hmm. He got
Yeah, because
kicked out
it's
because of
not
that.
you're either, letting it happen, or you're just too incompetent to really call that out. And for big centers, that's a very big problem. And
Correct.
you know, right, very well said. Um, yeah, so definitely more hours, more work, and usually in those cases, mandatory OTs are really just as a symptom, uh, which is, the upper management are responsible for, and there's no way the shouldn't be no way that the agent should shoulder that burden. We need some rest
Correct.
here. Um, Not sure with the time, but you must wake up at 5 a.m. to be productive. Uh, Waking up at 5 a.m. really is not about uh productivity is all about energy management, not early wake ups, right? So chronotypes, individual differences in natural sleep wake cycles, especially where if we're in the BPO, we cater to US customers. So our sleep cycle is different. We sleep at night. Um, so you must align your work schedule with your peak energy times for optimal performance. Prioritize quality sleep over specific wake up time, and you listen to your body's natural rhythms. This is more on the agents, right? You should have a very good sleep. It's not about waking up early. It's not about um kanang post shift inom because you
Sword shift
have
hubog.
uh,
Sword shift hubog.
yeah. So it's always quality sleep, because if you sacrifice your sleep, then your body is not going to be in optimal performance. Your energy won't be right. Hence the sleepy calls. The This is the one example that F mentioned. If just because you can sleep. And the good thing about being in Japan is people don't usually abuse privileges like that. But if you put privileges like that here in the Philippines, that's what will happen, right? Mag-inom after shift, uli, and then moadtog office og early kay aircon, madto mo pabudnaw, adto mo sleep. No, it destroys your sleep wake cycle, and you're not gonna have very good performance. So if you're aiming for a higher position, you should take care of your body too, right?
And
So
I
there you
also
go. Yes, go for it.
tells you that you have to be early, 1 hour early, 2 hours early. So you
Yeah.
need to be awake at what time? So that's also it's a poor management. Poor
Yes.
management.
Yes. Definitely. So that is a myth that you have to wake up early, you arrive to work early, you have to maintain that natural cycle or natural balance of sleep and work. Well, what about our work life balance? Jay, you mentioned about work life balance. Well, that's what the RDs are for.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah. So we're 3 myths in. There's still seven more to go. And if you have any questions on any of these, don't forget to um, leave a comment, ask your questions, where we will address them right away. All right. So we're now at myth number 4. Inbox zero equals productivity. Really? So the reality is constantly checking emails interrupts your workflow, right? Uh, if you're working on something, uh, and you're in the zone, right? Checking emails will break your trail of thought, right? Especially if it's about composing or creating a very important proposal, right? It just interrupts your workflow overall. Just like what myth number 1 talked about. It's about multitasking, being efficient. So if you want to be more efficient, focus on what you're doing, um, schedule a specific times, right, to check and respond to emails, and prioritize important emails and filter out the noise. So probably your boss, or depending on the subject line, so prioritize those, and if it's urgent, look into that. But just checking emails, just reading will definitely derail you, right? So use email filters and folders to reduce clutter. Or if you're using Outlook, do rules, right? So there are rules that you can use to filter out the boss, the colleagues, and then your regular spams. And not email. Not every email requires an immediate response. So I remember this. Part it's similar to this myth, but the more emails you send, the more humot ka sa upper management, which is just not true, and you're just playing politics if that's the case,
Especially
right?
if your email is useless, or a sixth grader uh son, or let's say, or someone sixth grader can do better than your email.
Was there a particular experience that you have, okay,
Yeah,
received?
it's coming from our quality manager before. Uh, w- uh, so the problem is, I mean, he has some quality team, right? And supposedly, how quality works, it's a support of operation. Uh, because what happened to our quality before? It's more like compliance. Like they're doing quality, but we don't know what's going on, right? On a background, it's they're doing some police thing, right? Like call out some agent, sending report. We have marked down with this for the certain agent. That's it. But in terms of supporting operation, they don't have any. So I requested for a report. Can you at least give us your analysis report for for what you're doing for the quality, instead just policing, as we are your client quality team. We need inputs from you based on the quality that you have done for the entire month. Give us a report, give us an overview. What are the things that we need to work on, or the behavior? You can do Pareto if you want, but give us a something operation that we can help, so we can focus on that specific um is a specific behavior. Oh my God, he's sending report. So he's now sending report, but it's not the report that we are expecting. I mean, expecting. Even the team leads are laughing because their son can do better on the report. Can you imagine a report where it gives you um, this is what he has, all narrative. For example, um, we audited at 10 out of uh, let's say here we audited 36 calls, let's say, and 8 has markdown of this. No, insight ba? Puro ra na 8, the 8 or the markdowns are like this. And imagine this is coming from a quality manager. So, ingana ra iyahang report ba na, oh my God, they just giving us number how many audits, pinakabuok markdown, but there's no analysis or input coming from them. And wala mo ako uy, may kahimo pa mag-better ako ang anak ani like then when you so something about the report like okay for this one can you give us a specific on this they cannot answer it, quality manager cannot answer it, then you will hear that kanigyot si Ken Bokeh mangdaot gini sa amo. He wants us to look bad. And ano ba? So I let them understand na this is not something that I am against you, but I need you to do your work, please. Diba? It's
Right.
and I'm challenging you here. I am not questioning you. I'm challenging you here to do your work better. So eventually, I heard he got terminated because
That's
he's
good to
doing
hear.
nothing. Yeah, at least now with the I heard that because the owner of the company out the the country manager. I mean country manager, yeah. Is no longer like kanang siya nag-run sa organization, but he hired someone from I think country manager of of e-performance.
Mm. So no more
So
protector.
no more protector. I mean, the problem with the owner is he has no idea because he's on a different level or different business. So may ilan na siya in short. This is a foreigner, and the creating a BPO is not actually his idea because there are two partners. Norman sila, the other one has the idea. He is the one who invited his friend to form this company. But that friend died at Manila. So he took over and he doesn't have any idea. So he's taking the position as CEO or president. Everyone reported to him and mutuo siya tanan because he doesn't have an idea. Oh, you're being a director. So dali ra kayo mailad-ilad ra niya. So um, I think he decided to step down because he is not competent and he's not doing well. I mean, especially sa why is it the company it's still shaky? So that's why he hired someone and someone incompetent got fired. So I hope more to come.
Well, that's a good. It's good to hear. Companies realizing that they have an incompetent. I mean, I feel sorry for those incompetent people who lost their job, but it's your own doing anyways. Why would you put
Yeah.
yourself in a situation that you're not skilled to to contribute to the organization? Mas may pay mo step down ka, go to where you are competent, and then earn your way up as opposed to that's good
Right.
to hear. That's a success story for me, my book.
I think also for that quality manager, I know that his ground is not quality manager that got promoted. He was externally hired because it was referred by a director, a friend of a director, but the director also got terminated. The reason for that is habit. Someone saw them on the parking lot with the team lead, so he was advised to resign because he's a married guy and he is the promoter of someone should not be in relationship if you are a leader. So he terminated a lot because of this. I remember for Cebu, one senior uh, was terminated because of that, and two team leads are also terminated because of that. So three guys sa Cebu na terminate niya. And ironically, is also doing it. So that's why they get the he got terminated. So this quality manager is wala na protector. So that's why but that's okay if you are, I mean, good thing that you get hired, but as a quality manager, despite that you are not competent, but at least try to learn, di ba? Try to learn, try to nakasuot naman ka diha, work it out, right? But the problem with this quality manager, although that we don't have work from home set up, we work in the office, is working always at home. So,
Wow.
dili tayo maayo tanawon sa iyang team, sa iyang quality ba? Sa
Right.
iyang quality team na we're working on site, ang manager wala kay nag-work from home lang. Because managers are proud, but it should not be abused. Those instances lang na sometimes they can
Special
ask.
occasions.
Uh, oh, they can ask, but not supposedly every day. But he's abusing it.
Yeah. By default, you should be there with your team.
Correct.
That's not a good con. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so myth number four, inbox zero equals productivity. Definitely a myth. And definitely not true. Just because you're checking every single email, you're replying, doesn't mean you're productive. It's counterproductive. And the only time you'd focus more on that is if you're, sad to say, an incompetent leader who always focus on appearance in the email more than anything else. So that is why you should be on the lookout for myth number five. Because myth number five, according to this, AI will take over all jobs. And the reason why it's a myth, AI is supposed to enhance productivity but still needs human intelligence. Probably at this stage, right? At this stage, it still needs some human intelligence. The AI will not write itself off. Especially our AIs now need prompts, right? It needs a trigger, which is the human intelligence. Now, AI augments human capabilities, automating repetitive tasks. So anything that can be replicated or repeated is can be in some parts in danger, especially the minor ones, right? Or even the menial ones. So human skills like critical thinking, problem solving, and emotional intelligence remain essential. So, what are these industries? Well, sales being one of them, right? It's hard to see uh in the future, like an AI selling to you or a robot selling to you, although they can be really uh efficient at it probably, but as far as effectivity goes, we still want to be sold to a human being, right? Learn how to use AI to enhance your productivity and stay ahead of the curve. AI is a tool, not a replacement. But then again, if you're not a competent employee, you're bound to be stuck in your repetitive tasks, and that's all you can do because you're already a senior manager and you don't need to train. Then I got news for you. AI can replace you in the future. Right? So what are your thoughts, FC?
Yeah, I truly believe that nobody can replace humans. Um, Even if the task is repetitive, and AI are capable of repeating it, there is always that um, what do you call that in Six Sigma, the 5% marginal error.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be that error,
Yes.
um, or glitch or bug, and it still needs auditing.
Human. Yeah.
Yeah. So if your job is in trouble of being replaced by an AI, what you need to do is upskill and do the auditing. That's just it. It cannot fully replace humans. That's just my take on it.
Right. Very good. How about you, KB?
Uh, I mean, I know AI can help you. It can help you a lot of things, but taking over your job, AI is way too far. Yeah, right.
Right.
Especially at this stage, even though we have our own, even with the human intervention, there are still a lot of errors in terms of um, how the AI perceive your command. So this is my advice to all listeners that even though that you're using AI, it's best all you it's best for you also to double check your work or the result. I know sometimes we're using AI in terms of making our email composition look good, but might as well review it because AI might say something that is not in line uh, to the things that you want to.
Right. Very well said. Um, there you have it, folks. So, you know, sooner definitely this it's AI still needs like, human input, right? Unless your task is just reading emails, then sooner or later, bro, you have to really assess yourself. um and if chances are, if your qualification is just that and that's what you like to do, then chances are you're not gonna get a lot of jobs, you're not gonna get hired if that's what you're good at, right? So again, uh AI will take over some jobs, definitely. That's all to make our lives easier. So that's essentially it. Other than that, there are things that really needs human intervention. I think next would be everyone's favorite. More meetings equals better communication. Is it really?
Mm.
Well, the reality is unnecessary meetings waste time, right? Especially the recurring ones, the ones that have been established na. I'm not just talking about like reports, like business reviews. No, the other meetings that should have been an email, right? It's a meme. It has become a meme simply because most people really want to have a meeting because probably it strokes their egos that they can call a lot of people in the meeting and preside over that meeting just to stroke their ego. But in reality, it doesn't help everyone become productive, right? Probably a one-on-one is much better. So identify who your audiences are, right? So that's why you have to ask yourself before scheduling a meeting: can this be done via email lang or a quick call rather than meeting and calling everyone just because you can, right? So ay pagdili na lang, right? You do want to keep people productive. So keep meetings focused and efficient with a clear agenda and time limit. And mga nakapait sila nila, no? They hold meetings nga murag infinite. Unsay tuo mo like time is ticking, we have other tasks to do, and you're not my only customer, right? So there has to be a time limit set. Use asynchronous communication tools for quick updates and discussions. There's a chat, right? Even Zoom has chat. So before you jump into a Zoom meeting, can I just chat this, right? So and only invite essential attendees. You don't need uh 12 people just to stroke your ego unless that's your sole purpose. Otherwise, then you're just being inefficient at the end of the day. So myth number
So
6, KB or FC.
yeah, I have one experience with that. Technically, we're only working. I mean, this is a remote job. It's a VA in industry experience. So technically, within the team, we have once a week. I know, once a week meeting every Friday, and our shift start at 12. We end at 8 a.m. So 2 p.m. it's our meeting. Uh, so technically, we can work now for 2 hours. After that, it's our meeting. And always, this is 3 to 4 hours meeting. We'll start at 2 p.m. Will most likely end at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And the actual meeting that all about work, like asking, what's your work? Do you have any questions? What are your pending items? It will only last for 15 minutes. And the rest of the meeting are all chica and libak. So
My
it's
God.
very tiring, no? The once after your meeting na, once after your meeting, you only have few hours to go. So technically in a day, you can only work 4 hours. So how can you complete that within the day? So that's the that's my experience.
We should go on invite them to join one of our episodes if they have a lot of chica.
Yeah,
True.
the the chica is all about the
Internal.
CSM or internal CSM director. The CSM director started as a VA and she got promoted as a I mean executive assistant of the CEO,
EA.
our own CEO, EA of our own CEO. So there you go. So the CEO will go here in the Philippines. So she's located in the Philippines. So what she did is makita sila, right? Then
Mm.
when the CEO, because she is a EA, when the CEO asked her, look for a room where we can stay, right? 2 rooms, right? In a condo, 2 rooms. Book it for a month because I'll be staying in the Philippines for a month. What happened? She only booked condo or
One.
a studio type. So the CEO asked, why did you book for a condo type? It should be 2 rooms. Where do you sleep? And she, it's okay, we can share a bed. uh, to save daw. But she has another goal. So
Of course.
there you go. Uh-huh. So there you go. So according to them, mag-ilis ko na daw siya. So naa ang CEO kung gikan sa shower so murag medyo makita side-side siyang toots ano ba. Then they kanang na something happened along the way. So nag-uyab sila. Then she got promoted as the director of the CSM. So try to
Of
imagine an agent move up to the director. So siya tanan laman sa chika for 3 hours.
course. If you pull off stunt like that, so she's
Mhm.
willing to sell off her dignity in exchange
Correct.
for promotion and quick cash. And that's not gonna turn out good. Like, too many stories. We've been talking about it in our episode. What skills have you developed, right? Because you skipped a lot of steps there. And
Uh,
anyone can see that coming, like booking a studio time, and even a 4-year-old can figure that out.
Correct. And what really happened during that time is a lot of CSM resign. The senior operation for the CSM is somehow parang po siya nasakitan ba, na hurt. I should be on that position. I've been here and I'm doing
Yes.
all the work now because
It
the
hurts.
director cannot function. Cannot function man ang director because wala siya idea.
Yes. It hurts those that are deserving of that role, just because you wanna, you know, jump ahead. You
Correct.
wanna, yeah, you wanna move ahead,
Absolutely.
by selling your body, your
But
dignity.
that, right.
That sounds like that sounds like SM, not the SM, the mall, but the our common person that we all know. But she's not good looking, and she's a different god. Anyways, yes. So meetings that should have been an email. Updates, yes. That can just be a thread. But what about you, FC? I'm sure you have a lot of experience for about this too.
Not really. I, I don't go into meetings that much.
Uh,
So,
That mean that means you're not part of this myth,
yeah.
because
Uh,
it is counterproductive. The more meetings is definitely counterproductive.
True.
There are other means of communication depending on the type of information. So because meetings are just sharing of information, and we are in the age where we have multiple communication channels. Chat alone, there's a lot of apps for that can allow you to chat. You have Zoom, you have your internal chat, you have Slack. There's a lot of applications out there. uh there's Telegram, there's Viber, there's um WhatsApp for your clients. So there's definitely a lot of things that you can utilize before asking yourself. Although there are just these executives that are really just spoiled brats and would like to call people. I have a
I'm
personal hugot
bored.
for this. Well, are bored, yes, very bored, and want to exercise their power by calling a lot of people into a meeting, right? I mean, if you wanna reprimand someone, don't do it in that meeting, because sometimes they're just having a bad day and would like to go on. And that's something, yeah, go on. KB personally
You
knows,
know,
but we'll discuss that later.
yeah.
All right, so on to myth number 7. Taking breaks is a waste of time. Is it really? Well, reality is breaks improve our focus and prevents burnout. So this is not your typical na you're gonna jump from one thing to another. Like it just improves your focus while you're thinking about that thing. You're working on it for like hours, or and then you seem to reach like a dead end. Then going on break really improves your focus, lets you think, lets you uh look at it from a different angle. It definitely there definitely is there's a lot of benefits to just taking a random break. So there's a technique called the Pomodoro technique. So you work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. This may not be applicable to
Yes.
customer service, yeah, agents. So you have your designated breaks, but can be very useful for those in RA or in creatives. If you're in the creatives, definitely, and you don't have to like leave the building and walk like a couple of meters from the building going to the smoking room. No, you step away from your computer, you stretch, you get some fresh air. But again, for agents, you just take a deep breath. ACW is your friend. Listen to your body and take breaks when needed. It should help you avoid burnout. And the better you are at managing, your energy and avoid burnout, the better and more productive you are, because breaks will allow your brain to rest and reset.
Correct.
Right. So what's your take, FC? Especially for us, we're all smokers. Well, except for F, I think.
I
FC.
quit. I quit
You
on
do.
smoking a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, even as leaders, right, from time to time, especially if para sa ako, I prefer multiple breaks compared to lunch, right? Because during shift I don't eat. But but smoking is my stress reliever. So if somehow stressed, I I go down and smoke, right? So this will refresh my kuwan ba, focus, right?
Right.
As long as it's not being abused, grabe said. Ang uban diha kay mag-break yung madto og short time.
Oy, that's
Ay,
the no-no.
why? But we know someone, right?
Right. Familiar, familiar.
Yeah, then mabuang at pangita sa tong agent. Asto na ko agent ka. Yatay nag-work one day, nag-workout sa sige na
Someone
lang,
higher.
someone higher. So there's nothing that you can do about it. When you try to call out the agent, mingon dahil na talk to this person. Oh, di ba? Then it's higher too. So, but they got refreshed, more than refreshed. Di ba?
That's that just yeah, manage your break in moderation lang jud. And of course don't do it on the first hour of your shift. And ironically, I learned it from the same person, Ken. Kay.
Same person.
Why are you taking break on the first hour of the shift? It was because, I was in a hurry to get into the office, and I didn't have time to catch a smoke. This was back when I was still cigarette smoker before I switched to vape, right? Because with
Remember,
vape,
we start our shift with a smoke and a coffee, right?
right,
So that we can start everything in a good mood or focus,
right.
right? So I know he's been calling us out for multiple times, the three of us. You, me, and the LU.
Right, right. So that's when he caught me and he said, "Don't do it on the first hour of the shift." So she's really strict on that. But there's no problem with the person going on extended lunch break for a short time, going to the parking area. To,
Right. My
Okay.
take on it is just on the flip side again. Not taking breaks is also a waste of time, or it leads to burnout. Right.
Correct.
It doesn't mean that if you don't take your breaks, you're really so productive. You're and all that.
yeah, that's
Taking a break is necessary.
Yes. That's myth 7.5. Not taking a break will go on make get you to do more. Well, as we learn that more hours is not does not equal to more work.
Productivity. Yep.
Yep, agree.
All right. So we're in myth number 8. So three more to go, guys. So if you have any questions, just let us know in the comments. Right? Got myth number 8. Perfectionism leads to high quality work. Right? So
Okay.
ever heard of the, some there might recall some colleagues that are very perfectionists, really looks into the minute detail, the spacing, the period, or even how you say things, as if they're the ones who's going to deliver it. Well, it turns out perfectionism leads to procrastination and diminishing returns. So there's what we call paralysis by analysis or analysis paralysis. Also learned from the boss of the boss that we talked about earlier, KB.
Mhm.
It leads to
Mhm.
overthinking, right? And over editing, it hinders your progress, right?
But
So
do
because
I know someone
you
that Palor? Do I know the person?
you know the person,
Ah,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
okay.
From not just from kuan, not just from our company that we share, but we worked with, but from the previous, right?
Oh, I see. Okay, I have an idea.
Yeah. So the boss of the boss of the candidate
Boss
counselor, and the boss of the boss.
of that
So
candidate
yeah.
person.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have this
We do we call him YMCA?
uh probably
It has
with
two meaning.
is
That's
fit.
a person, right?
Oh yes, yes, yes.
So
See,
why is he?
right.
It
Now going
rhymes.
fear of fail fear of failure will actually lead you to, because perfectionism creates anxiety, right? So it leads you to take risks, prevents taking a unnecessary risk, because in life you definitely have to take some risk, and good enough is often better. It lets you focus on progress over unattainable perfection. You can never perfect something. You ever tried to create something like a PowerPoint, like this PowerPoint, right? And then looking back, I could have added the logo of Slam, right? But there's no point in overthinking it. You just look at it and improve, right? So good enough is often better, and embrace iteration and feedback. And we have this common friend, KB. Her
Mhm.
name is just call her Horse. She's I would think that she's a perfectionist kind of a person. And the problem with that is you can procrastinate man good, 'di ba? Di sa ko na-send kay
Mhm.
perfect para nako. But time is
Correct.
ticking, so is your deadline. So sometimes she'd miss deadlines, and sometimes she'd get NTE. So because of her and then because she doesn't want to be may pagka-perfectionist ba eh. Do you know any other people that think that you feel are perfectionist, or they feel lang nga perfectionist sila, but in reality, dili sad. Dili jud eh.
Is it close na to?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Let's call her L. Let's call her L.
Okay.
She's perfectionist, but it leads to
Standard
really kind
for a part of quality.
yeah. Part of quality, yes. How about you, FC? What do you think about perfectionism?
Yeah, that's why I hate being part of HR because all of all my dealings with NLRC have to be perfect.
Oh yeah, yeah.
One
That's
case
acceptable.
takes about hours and hours to investigate, to double, triple, quadruple check all the details, and that's why the if you look at the HR office, the they always are busy. They're always stressed. Oh my god. It's not perfectionism again. It doesn't lead to high quality work.
Right. Now, in that particular scenario that you shared, if you really think about it, that is a symptom of a much bigger problem, right?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
not, di ba? It still goes back to poor management.
True.
If you haven't been, letting go of people like their, expendable things, and do the due process, and sometimes go over what is the due process, because like for example, if due process says make sure you have a documented intervention, then on your end do three documented interventions, and even more, like, give the person, the employee, the benefit of the doubt, or a leeway, an extension, if you will, before really deciding to let go or terminate people. That's that should be how, if you really care about the people, there will be in, because it will reflect, it will show in your documents. Just make sure you're documenting everything now. um that 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 would lead you to, not be too perfectionist. But yeah, there are exceptions to this rule, like, being in HR, and in cases you really have to cover all grounds, otherwise it will cost you a lot. But there are pros and cons to being perfectionism, so it's not overall like a bad thing, but just do what you have to do. Make sure that, at the end of the day, if you do the best that you can do, right, even if it's not perfect, that's already good enough, and good enough is often better. Next,
Mhm.
this one, I am very, very guilty of this. Not in this myth or this belief, but a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind. I'm a victim of this, as it was what I'm trying to say, because people approach my station, and then would see my desk is very cluttered. Um and it's a sign of a cluttered mind, meaning they brand you right away as having a cluttered mind. Well, it turns out some people thrive in organized chaos. Just because there are papers here and there, notebooks, and office stuff in your office, doesn't mean that you're inefficient. Doesn't mean that you cannot do your job well, right? Personal organization styles vary. What works for one person may not work for another, right? And sometimes it's functionality over aesthetics, right? FC. Sometimes
Yes.
FC focuses more on functionality than aesthetics. Yes, Kay.
I think, yes, I agree with that one because I think the person is more focused on the task rather than organizing the desk. And it doesn't mean that you can see a person's desk is very organized and that person is very organized in terms of work, right? Because
Right.
I know that some person at the desk is very organized, but actually, in terms of thought process, that person is not organized at all.
Right. Right. Definitely. I can easily name like, five.
Agree.
Right. Um Again,
But
functionality over aesthetics. Go FC.
I think siguro cluttered is such a kanang harsh word lang, or is disorganized such a harsh word? Because if you know where everything is, does it mean that it's cluttered? It may be
Correct.
Right.
cluttered to look at, but yeah, I definitely know that my pencil was here or my ball pen is here, my here, and all that, right? So it doesn't um really relate to how your mind works in a way. But I
Right.
do get that if it's really cluttered, for example, you don't know where everything is,
Yeah.
you have to find it, then that takes time for you to search and then takes away the time for your productivity. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And at the end of the day, again, what works for one person may not work for another, right? Um it's functionality over aesthetics. And the chances are the people that are more concerned about how your desk work is also reflects on their work. Where are you focusing on that? Diba? Why are you focusing on where my stuff is at a certain point? Why are you focused on that? Don't you care about things like that? So focus on a system that allows you to find what you need, like what FC said. If it takes you time to look for something, then you definitely need a little bit of organization. Creative environments, definitely a certain level of mess can sometimes inspire creativity. Focus on digital clutter as well, like where you store your stuff. That's what FC put some emphasis on. Like mag search pa ka on a certain file, then chances are you're just dumping everything on your desktop, and then the problem with that is if you're not in a if you don't have a high end computer on your station, and if it gets replaced, you're gonna have a problem because if it's just on your desktop, then most likely it's tied to your computer. So that's why you have a backup in your shared drive. I'm not sure if that's applicable for you guys if you're all cloud based, but you know, we kind of have like a combination of cloud based and local shared drive in our office. So yeah, but at the end of the day, whatever works for you, as long as it doesn't derail you from doing the actual work. All right, so we're down to our last myth. Productivity tools solve all problems. I think this is uh a myth coming from people who relies on tools 100%, right? The reality is tools are only effective when used strategically, just like our previous episode, right? FC showed to you how to use Gemini in tandem with Google Sheets and uh the app sheet. Now, if you're overly reliant and then just, paste everything without really being strategic about it, then it may not work properly, right? So tools overload also. Too many tools can lead to confusion and efficiency. So just like having too many uh trackers, I guess, right? So
Yeah.
tracker. tool. Having too many trackers can cause confusion and efficiency. The only way to fix that is to bridge, have some sort of connection between the tools and as much as
Agree.
possible. Sorry?
No, I just agree. Agree.
Yeah, true. Right? So again, focus on fundamentals, prioritize your core productivity principles over fancy tools. Again, tools should enhance, not replace good habits. The best tool is the one you will actually use. And people are not tools. So don't be reliant too much on your downlines. Focus on your task at hand. Your people have tasks too. They're paid by the company to do certain things, not your tasks. Right, KB?
I
All right. How about you, FC? Anything to add here?
Yeah, I do remember a company who has like you have a like a break tool for operations. You have a break tool for HR. You have a break tool for accounting, and you have a break tool for the telephony. So if you go on break, you have to
oh my God.
go break 5 times. That takes like about a minute of your break. So in and out, that's 2 minutes. And if you
Lost.
have 15, you'll just have 13 minutes
That's
break.
yeah, that's minutes lost.
Mm.
As opposed to really just using siguro one tool, right? So if
Yeah.
you really have to have a tool for that, then might as well use one tool, connect everything, and I think probably Gemini can help with that.
Right.
How about you, KB? Any
Uh
examples?
yeah, I mean the tools is more or like more on tracker, right? So there's one tracker for HT, one tracker for a certain process. So I agree with you. It could have been better if we could create one tracker for all, right? It's a matter of how you capture the behavior, right? So let's say you have one tracker and that tracker where the on it will have a repository, right? That you can extract data or create a dashboard connected to it, right? If you have certain deep dive. And it's very hard if we have a lot of tools like what we have on our department because everyone wants to have a project. So what happened is operation has their own tracker for a certain program. I mean, so this person he wants his own tracker, so he created a own tracker. But the also the what do you call this? The workforce also want to track, so they want also their own tracker because the other person doesn't want to share. So those are the things. So at the end of the day, kawawa ang agents because they have a lot of tracker. And especially if your device is not built for multiple trackers, right? Na muhinay kisa kanhanray mo ang mga devices. So,
Right.
so might as well within the organization, if you have a tracker, might as well share it to everyone. But the problem is, if I'll share this tracker, they might get another idea. So malabuan ko nila.
Right. And it will
Common.
also lead to confusion, misunderstanding, and even gonna with my would big matters worse would be just because of the tracker you reprimand the employee. An example would be like when I mentioned about the 5 breaks that the employee has to punch in every time they go on break, and those have different. Uh, they could not be the same time. It differs by seconds. then if that seconds overlaps to a minute in the timestamp, right? So, example, if the one break tool is 12:59 and the other is 13 or 1 o'clock, so it's just 1 second. But if you look at it, it's also 1 minute. If you don't look at the seconds, right? Some
Correct.
don't look at
Hmm?
the seconds, so it's just it just confuses everyone if you have different source data of the same category.
Right.
Agree.
Very
Right.
well said. Very well said. Again, productivities are productivity tools at the end of the day should enhance the experience or your work experience, right? Having multiple tools can be very efficient, and that was a very good example. And that is why um you have to question all our myths, right? Question everything, prioritize quality over quantity, your work, and manage your energy and find what works for you. So don't just listen, implement, choose one myth. Choose one myth that we debunk today and challenge it in your work or personal life this week. So share your experiences with us in the comments or in our email. We don't have yet the social media, but later on we will have. But there you have it, folks. How about you? So that wraps up our episode for today. Anything you'd like to say, K or FC, before we wrap this up?
For me, I hope everyone likes and subscribes.
For me, for everyone, do not just take hearsay or myth, or do not follow what what works with others. Follow your what works for you, right? If you think that works for you, then do it.
All right,
Okay, that's it.
very well said. All right, thank you, KB, and thank you, FC. So that is a wrap, folks, for today's episode of Slam. Stress less and automate more. We hope busting those productivity myths gave you a fresh perspective on how to actually get more done without getting burned out. Remember, it's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters better. If you found value in this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your team or the that one coworker who's always in grind mode. Right? Got a myth you'd like us to tackle or a topic you want us to dive into? Hit us up, and we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep your workflow smart, your stress low, and keep slamming your way to a better workday. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.